energy. Just just happy to be able to do what I love. That's kind of like my reflections right now. Trusting the process and knowing that like we're creating a legacy, man. We're documenting our history. We're making sure that our stories get told through our voices, through our lens, and that's incredibly important. So I'm just happy that we're here doing our thing. This week has been pretty blessed, and yo, man, I'm just looking forward to the things that we're going to be creating and the things that we're about to bring forth, man. So got to keep it going, keep it live, man. But how are you doing, man? Looks like your spot is, coming to an end.
I agree. Let's capture this on history, and like they say on the internet, don't believe the hype because there's always more to the picture than what you see. But in this case, is me moving on up to the east side. Hold on, let me get that right. This is my empty crib. Next week I'll be in my new spot. This is all my books are gone, all my history's gone. In those boxes, there's some ill hip hop history, and I found some more. I've got a lot of good goodies to reminisce on. A lot of dope Canadian hip hop I found. I actually even found a bunch of old issues of Pound. I found the issue of Pound where I interviewed John Legend. I had this really interesting. I had a really cool John Legend year one. Like I not only interviewed Kanye, but I interviewed the whole good music camp at that time, which was.
Hold on, you gotta. This is Reminisce Show, man. How dare you hold that out on me? You gotta break that out, man. Hold on.
Yeah, you didn't know.
Wheel that back, man. Wheel that back. Interviewed John Legend. You interviewed Kanye. Hold on, go back.
You didn't know I interviewed Kanye? Yo, that's. I interviewed Kanye. It was one of my biggest moments. I interviewed Kanye year one, college dropout. One of my first cover magazine ever. Shout out to Rodrigo for that. And it was amazing. Yeah. So, but for that issue, I interviewed Kanye. I interviewed John Monopoly, his manager. I interviewed GLC, and I interviewed one other cat that I can't remember in the crew. And then after that, the next issue, I interviewed John Legend. John Legend came a few months later. So I interviewed most of the people in the good music crew at the time in year one, which was really dope. And John, I didn't make the magazine, but me and John Legend had this argument I'll never forget where I just put out, it was in 2004, and I just put out my album, Beautiful Mutant. And it's a double album.
Remember that one? Yep.
Yeah, it's a double album. And the first side has 10 songs, and the second side has 9 songs. So, and one side is a beautiful, and it's like regular hip hop, and the other side is mutant, and it's next level weird shit. And it was a very focused double album. I thought it wasn't bloated. It wasn't. And I was like, yo, John, I put out a double album. And he's like, that's too much music to drop on the people at once. And I was like, yo, but what about Tupac? What about Nas? What about Biggie? What about the Visionaries? What about Stevie Wonder? Stevie Wonder did a double. And John was like, no, man, that's always way too much music. And it was one of the first times in my life where I was like, okay, like I could just do what a journalist does and just like agree with him and not really speak my mind, or I could speak my artistic mind and be like, with all due respect, I have a different perspective on this and I don't agree with you. Like, I'm not saying you're whack, bro, but I'm just like, in the history of music, there have been double albums, like, yo, man. And I'm like, I tried to make a focused double album. I'm like, bro, the first side has 10 joints. It's not like 17 joints on one album and then 19 joints on the next album. And it's like, oh, half of these didn't even matter. I'm like, I put real focus into it. So I'll never forget. We never agreed. I was like, yo, we were arguing about it for like 10 minutes. And I was like, no, John, double album, bro. He's like, no, too much. And I was like, I would disagree with him. So it was cool.
That's incredible, man. Incredible story, man. That's the Reminisce Show right there, man. Like you've been doing hip hop for a minute now, man. You're always in the mix, man. And these are the stories, man, that we need to capture. Don't forget, man. Yo, shout out Righteous in the Cut, man. See y'all, fam.
Peace to Righteous.
Yeah, man. So, like before we get into today's topic, which is talking about like hip hop and gentrification, because as I mentioned before, like I was on this panel, talking about Little Jamaica, man. Big up Eglinton West, man. Reggae lanes, foundations of stolen from Africa, and all that good stuff. But yeah, before we get into that, and just some hip hop's connections and impacts by that, I know that there's some news, man, some things, man, that's come up that you would like to address.
Yeah, yo, shout out to Righteous for that, real quick, yo, for real. Like, I mean, no matter what, if you're Tupac or Juice WRLD or Frank Sinatra, I think Frank Sinatra made 68 albums or something like that.
Word.
Like, like, it doesn't matter. Like, Busta Rhymes in his last interview said he had recorded 828 unreleased songs or whatever. So it's like, no, it doesn't even matter. Like, there's only a limited amount of music. So like, you just gotta drop what you gotta drop. Anyways. Speaking of dropping music, Lil Nas X has dropped some music in the last year, and he is blown up. And he's, to a lot of people, it just couldn't have happened 10, 20 years ago. In the 90s, the Lil Nas X would not be in the hip hop circles, just because of the ignorance and homophobia. But we live in a new age, and it's more enlightened and peace. And if you're not into Lil Nas X, you can just turn on Jay-Z. Go ahead. It's no big deal. You ain't got to hate. But somebody really hates Lil Nas X. And Boozy came out on Twitter yesterday and had an incredibly violent, like super violent tweet that got deleted. And a lot of people are coming at Boozy like, bro, like, you ain't gotta like Lil Nas X, but you don't have to wish him death and say like gay people should kill themselves and all that shit. Like, we've evolved past that. Not everybody has. So peace to Lil Nas X for like being really smart and funny and succeeding, because he's very creative and just being himself, like what any hip hopper really should do. And
I definitely agree with that. I mean, it's one thing, people can have their perspectives. Everybody has their preference, but we don't need to go out of our way to like, incite like harm and like violence on someone. Like I really don't, co-sign that in any form or fashion. I do want to also like, mention that something that's been brought to my attention, is that I know that Lil Nas X has made some like, very like suspect posts like, years ago. And I believe this was under like a troll account that was later on discovered that he was behind it, and has said like a lot of like, disturbing things towards like Black women. Like, I wish I could pull up the reference now.
Really?
Another time. I remember like, and this was like brought up in one of my youth groups actually, and we're discussing about like common events and stuff. But then there's a lot of like things that were said, and a lot of the attacks were towards like, for one of them for sure was Jay-Z and Beyonce's daughter, Blue Ivy, and he was saying something violent towards like this child, and again, I don't have like the quotes, but I remember reading at the time, I was like, this is not cool in any way. Like, this is not even like a funny joke. Like, this is actually disturbing, and I always pay close attention, and I'm always extra critical when I see Black men in spaces of being like a celebrity and power, and when they go out of their way to disrespect and either physically or verbally cause harm towards Black women. Like, I find that very disturbing to me, it's like they don't do it to anybody else, but when it comes to like, Black women in particular, and we always know that Black women are, they say, is, the most like undefended being in this planet, you know what I mean? That's always just kind of left for dead and whatnot. And it's just wild that like this type of energy goes out there. So I just wanted to say that. And this was like in the context of like tweeting, because I know that Boozy's online and saying all these things and stuff. And, I just think just in general, from a community perspective, like, to go out of our way to cause harm to people, even if it's seen as a joke or not, there's still impacts. And we got to be like mindful of how we treat each other collectively. It's disgusting to me, on every level, and it's very unnecessary. There's so much things that we can discuss, and like I said, it's one thing if we have disagreements, because that happens. I think that's just part of the human experience. But I do believe that there's ways to like discuss it in in a way that's respectful, even if it's to agree to disagree.
Absolutely, absolutely. And we don't have to wish death upon the people we don't agree with, because the world is big enough for all of us to have our own space. Like nobody's forcing each other to be in gay clubs or lesbian clubs or cultures you don't like, or trends that you don't like, whatever. If you don't like fucking like pop music, you don't have like it's not like you can't escape it. Like, just turn off the radio and go to places where pop music is not playing. That's it. Like, this is the same with gay, lesbian, whatever, trans, whatever, fucking, if you don't like a fucking Italian culture, it's not like you're overwhelmed with it. Like, whatever. Like, people need to just live and let live. So
indeed. And that's a great segue into like, next topic, which is involving, a member of the hip hop community, who is a comedian, Mr. Dave Chappelle. He's been in the news quite a bit, for his I guess Netflix series, The Closure, and has made some remarks towards the trans community that was seen as harmful and hurtful. And a lot of people have been like discussing it right now. And I just found out, I believe it was posted today, that he will be having a I guess it's like a documentary / performance type thing happen at the Scotiabank Arena, formerly known as Air Canada Center. And that's happened November 15th. And people are up in arms that Dave Chappelle is going to be here and performing. And how come he's not canceled and what's going on? So definitely like a lot going on. But what are your thoughts based on some of the things that have been coming up?
Yeah, it's really interesting because I do believe that Dave exists in a middle space as far as both problematic and hilariously and intellectually exposing a problem and speaking towards a solution. It's some comedians can drop mad jewels and be like, sometimes drop more insightful realizations than almost anybody else in the world. And like, he has been smart on issues before, but this time I think he is in the middle. Just because he has a trans friend doesn't mean that he can't be ignorant on trans issues. And I don't know how that's going over Dave's head. It's ridiculous. Dave also is not speaking like there are any black trans people. He's totally right to criticize when white people that are even trans fall back into their whiteness and use white supremacy and like privilege to their advantage. And like beat up on Dave or any other black person, sure, that happens, sure, and anybody could speak against it, which Dave should. But Dave, like, it's not like Dave is just, he never has spoken like there are any black trans people, and that is a problem.
Indeed,
that's a big problem. Dave, you're just ignorant. Trans isn't only a white thing, so you need to learn that, and you need to speak like that because there are overlaps. I agree. And like I'm always like, critical when it comes to like, celebrities and especially people who are commuting certain spaces. And, just even that idea of like having like a trans friend, and that just kind of like, makes everything blessed and whatnot. And then even in that context, like there's still like the element of whiteness as well. And once again, like the black experience is like completely, like absent from this equation. And I think that was a missed opportunity. I heard about like there was I believe the person who orchestrated the walkout at Netflix is a black trans woman. I hope I got that correct. If not, I have no problem being corrected. And I do believe that they schedule a time for him to meet up and have a dialogue or something, and he just didn't show up, which again, I think that was like a missed like opportunity. Even if he didn't say anything, just to at least go and to hear, and to listen to what people are saying, because I do believe that, if people are hurting and feel a certain way, like they should at least be allotted time to listen to, at least at a very, very minimum level. And then from there, maybe there's some type of like alignments or something that could be taken into consideration moving forward. Absolutely. And like there's easy ways to solve this. Like, hey, Dave, maybe on your next fucking comedy special, don't spend 75% of the time talking about trans issues. You could have easily talked about fucking Trump or fucking Russia or China or fucking basketball or 10,000 other things. You could have made one trans joke or maybe none. And like, you wouldn't have to be dealing with this if you like, you have your ignorance and like, you know, thinking that, oh, I'm so smart and I'm the cleverest person in the room and my position is unassailable and I've done all the research I need to do so I can make jokes about these things. No, you're actually like fucking a smart comedian actually can be like, yo, I can make a joke about something and not offend anybody, but make people think about this issue in a way they have never thought about it before because I'm an insightful comedian. That's what like the real greats do. So he needs to just educate himself a little more and like next time just not go talk about trans shit so much. Just bro, like talk about stuff that you actually do understand better. So. But like, you know, I mean, and that's whatever. And like, you know, and that, I mean, I'm saying that to lead up towards, you know, he doesn't like, just like you say, like, if ultimately he just comes down to agreeing to disagree with the trans community, at least if he shows up to a dialogue and is like, all right, I'm listening, and is like, all right, well, he's fair to say, like, I'm uncomfortable with it. Like, yo, that's you don't really have to say that publicly, but he said that on the show. It's like, oh, I'm uncomfortable with the people. Like, okay, that's fine, whatever. Yeah. So that's humanity. So whatever. You don't have to try to make a joke about it. Just don't talk about it. Let them live, move on, and just evolve a bit and like just make it a peace thing. So
indeed, man. All right, man. But yo, like, you know, let's you know, move forward with
there's another thing. Like there's so Noriega I love like real actual reflection on hip hop history. And I love fighting revisionism. I'll just put it like that, where somebody would get online and be like, yo, fucking Lil Wayne fucking somebody came on and said like Lil Wayne started dreadlocks a couple weeks ago. I was like, are you crazy? Like literally, I was like, what? This is ridiculous. Like opinions, you can have opinions about people's raps. You can't come in and say Lil Wayne started dreadlocks in hip hop. That's ridiculous. Like what? Like who? Like did you ever see Busta Rhymes for 10 years? Like Daza? I mean, I can't. Like I can't even. I don't even know where to begin. Like come on. Like this is. Come on. So anyways, so Noriega came out and he made a statement, and I was like, yo, that's an actually accurate statement. And the way he said it was accurate too. He said Noriega came out a couple days ago, and he's like, he goes, yo, Noriega, I was basically the hottest rapper on the planet in 1998. And I was like, yeah. I was like, you remember?
He had a moment. He did.
Yeah, he had a moment. And he was talking about his moment right then. And he was like, yeah, and that I was like, yo, it was in 1998. Super Thug. What? Yo, I'm like, yo, that was it was massive. And Noriega didn't say I was the best rapper on the planet. He didn't say like I outsold everybody. He was like, yo, at the time in the game, I was the hottest rapper in the game, like right in 98. And I'm like, yeah, I actually totally agree with that. And like, I was like, do you remember those days? Like, would you?
Yeah, like, I mean, there's quite a bit that was happening in that particular like time frame, though.
Mm-hmm. But I mean, and I was like, you know what? Okay, DMX had a great year in '98. Big Pun was super massive. Lauryn Hill was super big. I'm like, yo, Busta Rhymes and Puffy. I'm like, yo, of course. There were other things happening in the culture, but I was like, in a certain way, I do believe like Nori was like the hottest dude in the game. He was guesting on a bunch of stuff. Capone and Noriega, like Capone was in jail, so that was people were like, "Yo, no."
It was a short moment, but it was a moment. Like he can definitely hold that to be like he had that time for sure.
Yeah, so he was reflecting on that moment because a lot of people were like, "Oh, what is this Drink Champs podcast and why? Like, what is the value of Noriega? Like, he's not the greatest podcaster, so like, what is his value in hip hop history?" To those who don't know, and it's like, yo, man, Nori was fire at one point. So I just wanted to reflect on that and just like shout out Nori and be like, bro, like, you know, I agree with you saying that, and I like how you stated that in reflecting on that point, because a lot of kids don't know, like, yo, man, Nori was like, I don't know how to compare him to like somebody in this day and age. Like,
yeah. Well, I mean, this is why we have the Reminisce Show and Sankofa and all that stuff, because like history gets lost and things are forever like changing. Like, and even when we talk about like gentrification and the various communities that have been like altered over the years, from like Africville to like Regent Park. So I heard about this community out in Vancouver called Harrow's Lane, I believe. I didn't even know that there was a Black community out there. It's a documentary somewhere online.
Say that again, please.
Harrow's Lane, I believe. Yeah. Yeah. And it's like incredible. So I'm learning all these communities that like would just be wiped out. Like, if you didn't know about it, then there's no evidence or even like residue of it, So it's really important for us to remember where we're coming from so that we know where we're going, and also to like be able to pick up on these trends as things keep moving forward, So yeah, man.
So you want to get into your topic that you were saying about?
Well, yeah, like gentrification, and I'm just gonna read the definition like real quick that I just popped up online, and it says so gentrification is the process where the characteristics of a poor or urban area is changed by wealthier people moving in, improving housing, attracting new business, typically displacing current inhabitants in the process. So that's like pretty much like I feel like is an accurate the depiction of what gentrification pretty much looks like. And in that process, a lot of history gets like disrupted and erased and moved. And this is what happens, like when these new condos come up. I mean, we live downtown, so like you already know what it is. Like there's all kinds of cranes everywhere. Like I can't go anywhere without seeing a crane.
They said there's more cranes in Toronto than there is in any other city in North America. You can look around and at any time you can point out at least 20 cranes. But I read a report. Like there is more construction happening in downtown Toronto than any other city in North America.
Yeah, no, it's it really is pretty incredible, But before I give space for Little Jamaica, man, I actually wanted to play what is it called? Point Blank's Born and Raised in the Ghetto, where shout out to Marc-Andre Dubron, who's a video director who directed this, and they really like put this together really well, showing the contrast of like gentrification or revitalization back in the 1940s when Regent Park was being established, and the hopes and dreams that they had for Regent Park, and then what actually happened. It's pretty interesting. So I'm gonna play like half the video, and then we're gonna get into some other stuff, man. But shout out Point Blank and Regent Park.
Point Blank dropped a real one, yo. They didn't even have to come this real with this joint, but they did. They're like, oh, we're taking you out of school.
They needed to, man.
This was such a lesson.
For years, Toronto's Regent Park was a slum, a place where children played in dirty alleys and risked death on narrow streets. Replacing slums with modern housing costs money. Let's go to the crime and disease which breed in slums. The old squalid houses were being torn down. New buildings began to rise in place of the old slums. Thrifty Toronto expects Regent Park to pay off in hard cash saved and better citizens.
Yeah. Until it's my time to come. When it goes down, I'm dying young with the good ones. They call us once and hoodlums. Pull up to the streets like the Quran and Muslims. When it's war, we all ride, the whole hood comes. The sky slopes from where I hold. Politician hand in your pocket trying to buy votes. Staring out the barrel of a periscope. Got screaming in the megaphone, leave us alone. My shit, leave home, but they ain't leaving the chrome. And you don't really want peace, so just leave it alone. Still in the hood, looking good. With the ghetto kids looking out. And they ain't learning about the life to spit about. We out there and been scared with me. We in the inner city beat, come and get me out the block. Before my rocks had the rocks in the mob balance that's.
Yeah. So quick little sample there, man. Before we get into like what are some of the vibes that you got from watching that, yo?
Oh man, I love the honesty of it, man. They just really, it was telling our story and telling our history. I love how they connected it from the 50s to now. Like, one of the illest book titles I ever heard was From Plantations to Ghettos. And like, like they just really showed what happened in the Black community in the projects. Like the same way that Jay-Z does his Marcy projects and Nas does Queensbridge and all these dudes, like, point blank was like, this is us. This is region, like rep us.
Yeah, like for me, like watching this, like one of the main things that I capture is just like the sense of community, like the sense of hope, the sense of like connection, you know what I mean? Like, even though there's all this like stuff that's happening that's like destructive and even painful, like there's still like joy and connection, and there's still beauty. And a lot of amazing things come out of these spaces. Like when we look at hip hop culture, we look at fashion. I mean, like people look to like the hood for direction of anything, of what they call, urban or Black rather. So this is where it comes from.
You're right. Like the Smiling Kids was just so great,
Exactly.
Like,
the innocence and just so pure, you know what I mean? And it's like that rose that grew from concrete type of energy.
And the sunlight shots, it's like, yeah, man, like, like Regent Park did have some grimy history and whatever, but like they really got a nice day, and they're like, it's not always grimy here, and we're not. Indeed. Everybody's not always criminals, and even the criminals aren't always doing crime. Sometimes they're taking care of their families or their grandmothers or babysitting or just trying to get out the hood, go to school. So like, they did a really wonderful job in humanizing.
100%, man. And speaking of humanizing, we're going to take it back, man, to an older community, man, Africville, Nova Scotia, man, that was destroyed by the government in the late 60s. And, Maestro connected with Black Union and Caleb Simmons, man, big up to the brothers on the East Coast. And this song is called Africville, man, directed by Kashmir, man. Shout out Kashmir, man. She's been doing the thing for a minute now, man. So I want to play the first verse, man, real quick.
I got a surprise for you right after this.
Everybody thought it was such a bad the people who tore it down. The people that tore it down. That's the people that tore down the city artifacts. The founders of the city artifacts. They said it was a bad. That's what they called it. Everybody not to us, it was a heaven, a home, a real home.
You can't put a price on the lives that it ruined. No reparations, no nothing. Why would you do this? Divide my people to fight out on the corners at night. All every day. What they've done to me.
It's a part of our history they kept in the closet. Professors never taught the lessons, they neglected, forgot it. They kept it underneath the table, kept it under the surface. Nervous that we would re-emerge. They dispersed us and jerked us out in Africville. Halifax is ill. How can us blacks rebuild when the facts reveal? The government left them comatose, the younger and the older folks in Black Nova Scotian souls are frozen. Many homes are broken, drugs started creeping in, crime started seeping in. The heaven got crushed when the demons started sneaking in. A Black community lost and trampled, left out in shambles, dismantled and still hard to handle.
You can't go ruin. No reparations, no nothing. Why would you do this? Divide my people to fight out on the corners at night. Oh, everything.
Yo, super fire. Oh, super sick, yo. So, oh man, thank you once again to Maestro for that history lesson. I love it, yo. Shout out to all the people teaching and spreading and keeping Black history alive. All the lessons that we all need to keep learning. I just want to add something real quick. It was a surprise, but it's also like goes right into gentrification, but not quite gentrification of the ghetto, but gentrification of Black culture, period.
Talk to me, man. Talk to me. Let's go.
I got a little something. I love the fact that this movie is coming out. The Harder They Fall. because I was sick of Django Unchained being one of the most memorable visions of black cowboys that has come in the late century. So these wonderful people, Idris Elba and Regina Hall and some other people have connected and made another black cowboy movie, and we got it coming up.
Okay.
So this is just a little song that's about to come out on Friday about the black cowboy movie.
Just to add to that real quick before we play that, a lot of people don't know that the term cowboy actually, came from, African Americans. Like one of the original terms was actually called cattleman or chattelman, but I think because of like the term boy and whatnot and trying to like, create this like inferiority complex, it became a thing. But as always, we take what we got and we run with it and we make it hype. You know what I mean? Whatever trash they throw at us, somehow we make it something big. And the term cowboy became a thing because of the way that we were able to like to you use like the lasso and capture these cattle and horses and whatever else. You know what I mean? There's a certain style, a certain flavor that we brought to the table that people are like, yo, like y'all, like what is it, man? I'm trying to be a cowboy now. You know what I'm saying? Like, yo, tip my hat. Like, so just understand, yo.
That is sick as hell, yo. That's amazing. So here's just a snippet, but it's gonna be wicked.
Hey.
Wild boys, King Kong of the cowboys. You see the bloodshed after you hear the loud noise. Brooklyn, what you do? Little mothers gonna do. Fanatic clips on a boot wop. We want static. About my issue. Magazine on a pistol. National Geographic. That boy hell. Thriller in the jungle. I don't sit smug.
Come on.
Just let my legs go long. Ready to my government them hard. It's just head up the wall.
Yo, the cast is already fire. They didn't even talk.
Yo,
they just showed images, and it's already lit.
It's going down, yo. This movie is gonna be sick.
Yo, that's mad fire, man. Yo, that got me hyped. And again, like these are the stories that don't get told. When we think of like like cowboys, when we think of like Texas and people who do not look like us, but we were there. Matter of fact, like John Ware,
John Ware.
help like like he brought like the first like cattle to Alberta, coming from the south, a black man, and got established and set himself up there. You know what I mean? So like what Alberta's known for, I mean, like we had a hand in that. You know what I'm saying? So it's really.
I'll tell you, I grew up from grade age 2 to grade age 11 in Alberta, and they don't teach John Ware history out there. I was out here. And when I found out about John Ware, and it was only about a decade ago, and I'm like, yo, I fucking grew up in Alberta.
We're everywhere in every province. There is Black history. Let's just understand that. You know 100%. What I mean? Like it's incredible. But that's a really powerful one, man. And yeah, like we really got to connect, and that's all Sankofa right there, man.
All of it Sankofa, yo. Just being like, yo, this whole idea of like white people discovering everything and everybody is just absolutely ridiculous and untrue. And like, okay, they were there in certain places, but whatever. How do they discover indigenous people? How do they discover North America when indigenous people are here and Black people as well?
Yeah.
What the hell? So gentrification though has been happening from the age of the cowboys up and down. And in hip hop, there's a couple examples, but what you were talking about is great. I have a couple here that are interesting too, but
yeah. Well, I mean, I just want to give some space to Little Jamaica, which is the community that I spent a good like 20 years living in. Eglinton West. Anybody knows Randy's Patties, knows Tennille's, knows late night jerk chicken. You know what I mean? Like 3 o'clock in the morning, where everything else is closed. People make their way over there. You can still hear reggae playing, the barrels. The culture, the music, everything, you know what I'm saying? And it's a really special heartbeat of Toronto that I feel is ready. It's on the process of being eliminated and getting erased. There's been like a lot of things that have been happening that shows me that, whether it's like with the city or other like organizations that it's just not allowing Little Jamaica to exist in the capacity. I got a few like slides that I put together because I had a presentation the other day, but I put together based on some of my like Twitter posts because I was just like I was in the zone where I was kind of reflecting on what community means and what happens when it changes, you know. And every time I go back to Little Jamaica, it looks a little slightly different, you know, not to mention, you know, the like the new like transit system that has been working on Eglinton forever. But the thing is like Little Jamaica, the area, like has been dealing with construction even before that. So it was already slightly kind of happening. And then when, like, you know, the transit system came out, it's been going on for like mad years, like forever. And then on top of that, COVID hit. It just, like, you know, you can really see businesses just really dwindling away, like piece by piece, and, like, you know, really holding on to its thread. And a lot of community has been coming together and really trying to like designate Little Jamaica as a heritage site and to like find some ways to secure and preserve it. But it's still like an uphill battle, you know. But I just wanted to like give some space to just my experience with it and how this has influenced a lot of like what I've done, you know. So right at the top, man, you know, I made this Twitter post saying like Little Jamaica was instrumental in introducing reggae to the entire country of Canada. Even Bob Marley came through, and other artists too, like Peter Tosh, you know, and a whole bunch of others. But you have to understand, like, Little Jamaica is really what like sparked that wave. Like when we look at Toronto slang and Toronto, you know, like the influence of Jamaican culture on Toronto, like it's what it is. Like it's literally one and the same. You know, even if you're not Jamaican, like you're and you're born in Toronto, you're going to be using some Jamaican slang at some point.
You don't know you're going to hear something. Like, come on, like there's not even, we know, like, shout out to Whitey Don. Like,
come on.
There's people, like, there's enough white people are like, yo, man, like I these people have guided me, taught me, and they're part of like this Canadian history as much as fucking Johnny McDonald. God damn it.
It's wild, man. Hold on, let me get into this, man, real quick, man. I don't want to take up too much time. And this is just like an air for those who don't know where Little Jamaica is, you know. I mean, it's like Eglinton West, you know, going from like Marley all the way down to like Kiel. But as you can see, the yellow area, man, it's an extension. And just a little fun fact, like, you know, Vaughan Road connects to Bathurst. And if anybody knows about Bathurst in it back in the day, like the 80s and 90s, you know, that was there was an exhibit called Blackhurst, which actually highlighted a lot of like Black businesses and things that were going on around there. Man, if you remember Third World Bookstore, which was a historic spot where a lot of, you know, political like meetings and movements happened, you know, like a different book list, you know, there was like Joy Sisters, you know, a lot of barbershops and whatnot. So like the Vaughan bus used to go all the way down to Bathurst and connected. So this is like, you know, when it comes to like, you know, like the Caribbean experience in Toronto, especially Jamaican, like this is like where it was at. You know what I mean? And this is like a post I made about just like my school, you know what I mean? So like the area really was what was for us to like really, you know, connect and build. So like Oakwood was like a cultural hub. We didn't have any community centers in our area, but the schools, the barbershops, you know, like the churches, these were spaces where we came together, you know what I mean, to find guidance, father figures, political consciousness, and all of that, you know, and even just like, you know, like comedy, narrating Caribbean accents, you know. So as being a youth, you're at the barbershop and you hear everybody talking, like it was a vibe, it was a connection, you know what I mean, something that can't be forgotten. And let me just go through these real quick. So these are people that I grew up seeing on the regular, you know what I mean, like Dudley Laws, Charles Rhodes. These are like political activists. And what I realized in the community, these guys were super accessible. Like we would see them on TV and then see them on the road walking around, getting their patty from the store, just like anybody else, you know what I mean, and inspired. And then I also want to add on for the area, man, Cardinal and Chaos, man, was in my area as well. Like, you know, like Cardinal lived right across the street from me. Chaos lived just down the street. And I would see these guys on the regular. So like for someone like me on the come up as a teenager, it gave me like inspiration. And as I see that Little Jamaica is being like gentrified and things are moving around, like I started, you know, doing my Sankofa and reminiscing and being like, whoa, I was actually privileged. I was in this incubator of culture and support. And it's no coincidence that I would start something called Stolen from Africa based on this environment. Dudley Laws, Charles Roach, you have like artists and whatnot. So real quick, I'm going to play like a clip of my verse from a track called Revolution that we filmed in Reggae Lane. Real quick, you know what I mean, and for us, it was really important to film this video, you know, in Little Jamaica, because I knew that at some point things would disappear. Like this mural may not exist at some point, you know what I mean, because it's attached to a gas station, and who knows what's going to happen in the future. But we got it documented, man. So let's go.
That's amazing.
From now on, we are going for a colonial, but the free and independent.
Yeah, I don't believe Bob Marley died of cancer. 46 years ago, I would have been a panther. Started at the trade because we needed some answers. Rebels with a cause and say we ain't got no manners. Scarred my folks spiritually, we far from broke. Carry the torch of Dudley Laws and Charles Roach. When and the teacher will appear. Spend one hell of a year, feel blessed to be here. On the search for the light within. Living in this life of sin, eternal fight within. Trying to be calm, but this tree without roots. How you expect to bear fruit? What's the use? Now we hanging from our own notes, the ugly truth. Self-hatred, mentally we still enslaving. But we don't pay attention, so forever we stay
Real Kwame.
Added only cream matters the most. Give a toast to those we kept close. Now they ghosts living life on slippery slope. God deliver my folks on crutches in the clutches of the whatless wide barber. Get slaughtered, keep your head up. The responsibilities of manhood. We fathers with daughters, no lottery. Just systemic racism and poverty. I study about the planets and stars and build with the gods we was robbed for. Our knowledge of self is educated, lost identity, assimilated. Our DNA is sacred, stolen from Africa. Was Africa stolen from us? In God we trust, but enough's enough. Stolen from Africa. Was Africa stolen from us? In God we trust, but enough's enough. The revolution.
That's big there. What an amazing. Joy. That is blood. Oh,
hey yo, that's all like little Jamaica. Something that I didn't add was starting selling like the stolen from Africa shirts. Like it was all in the area too. There was 2 stores that I would frequent. It was a store called the Hotspot, and then there was JD's Connections. Now at the time, Drake actually used to work at JD's Connections. You know what I'm saying? So it's very possible that back in the day, Drake sold a few of these. You know what I'm saying? So, so it's just deep history. So like the little Jamaica community was very inclusive. It was a connection. It was a way for us to just feel plugged in and supported. You know, and everybody supported each other. You know what I'm saying? So it's so now as I look and see how things have been like really shifting and moving, it's like it hurts to say that like things are getting erased, but I got to big up like a few different organizations that are doing the thing, man. There's a group called Black Urbanism, TO, that's doing a lot of incredible works. I'm trying to find their link right now. But they're actually, so what their aim is to increase the participation of Black people in the community development to advance the collective cultural and economic social interests of the neighborhoods. So they're doing like a lot of like, incredible works, building and connecting and whatnot. So I just wanted to like, big them up. And yeah, man. So they're actually having something. It's they're having something on Thursday actually, where they're going to be like discussing like some of their proposals and things that they're doing in community. I'm going to put their link in the chat right there. People can check out. They have like quite a bit of stuff, like a lot of like reports and things that are happening in Little Jamaica. So if you're really curious to know about what is going on, they got it like all there, and yeah. I just to add real quick, I saw this tweet and this post basically said that Toronto is like losing its soul to and things are like Toronto's losing its soul. Toronto is dying and it's being replaced by like condos and coffee shops. And I thought that was really profound because that's exactly how I feel when I look around. I'm like, like there's no soul anymore. It's just skyscrapers. You know what I mean?
It's true. Like the culture that we weren't really too loud as far as fighting against, but we were like, I always thought of Toronto as New York's little sister who grew up to be like, she was always getting punked off, but then she grew up to be like this ill fucking sexy, smart, powerful fucking like someone who totally surpassed their potential. And then eventually on the world stage, people were like, Toronto's one of the great cities to live in the world, where it's not a secret anymore. But like for fucking 25, 30 years, we were like, man, we have something to offer. Like, this place it's not perfection, but like it's pretty damn good. And like now, when you look at those damn lists, Toronto is always like, one of the top 10, top 5 places to live in the world. It won a couple times, if I remember correctly. And like, I definitely break down in the culture why we really, really enjoyed so many. Why I would see Killer Mike 4 times in a year, or why I saw Camp Low 3 times in a year. These guys are like, yo, we don't even want to perform in our own hometowns as much as we want to come to Toronto.
Facts.
But yo, I'm saying all this to say to really support your idea about us losing our soul and gentrification happening. Like, to the culture of hip hop, like, you know, gentrification of the sound of Toronto is Toronto not being able to be like, there was a time where people would listen and be like, Cardinal or like any reggae hip hop is either from Toronto or these people stole it from Toronto. And a lot of people fucking know the history of Boot Camp Click and fucking Smith and Wesson. Apparently they performed a show in fucking Regent Park or whatever, and they heard Jellystone, and then they heard like the reggae hip hop here for the first time, and then they went back to New York and then made Cowboy Burial. I always heard that story, and a lot of people were like, yo, everybody knows those guys were heavily influenced by the fucking reggae hip hop that Toronto has always done. We've been doing that from time.
Yeah, we brought reggae here. And like, you know, a lot of these reggae artists, you know, like I was doing some research, and the amount of times that Peter Tosh and Bob Marley has come to Toronto was like crazy. You know, they used to have performances like at Maple Leaf Gardens, and back in the day at Ontario Place, which they used to have. We got to do a whole like Reminisce show on that, by the way, because Ontario Place was fire back in the day. Like incredible performances. But no, like Little Jamaica, like Toronto is what brought that experience, like, you know, across the world. And look how big reggae is. Look how important it is. Look how many reggae festivals are everywhere.
Absolutely.
You know, that started right here. That started
right here. And I'm not saying Toronto is the only fucking place. I know like NWA did shitty versions of reggae hip hop.
Right.
KRS-One, yo, there, you know, Redhead, Kingpin, whatever, even fucking Heavy D. Like, yo, I know that like Caribbean energy was in hip hop in certain places in the States. But come on, we all know that's something that Toronto sounds special.
No, we did.
And we really brought it in a new way, in a major way, in a way that most of the people weren't in the 90s. And that's something that was fundamentally ours. And I'm saying all this to say, like, that you don't really hear that nowadays because the sound of hip hop has been gentrified, where there's a certain group of people making hip hop where you're like, I can't tell if that's from New Orleans or Atlanta or Toronto or New York or whatever. It's just like all the same kids are using the same samples and rapping the same way. And it's like, that is
that club, man. Yo.
Yeah, which is why I'm saying all this to bring up 6ix9ine, because 6ix9ine is to me a great example of hip hop gentrification in the human form.
Talk to me, man. Talk to me.
I'm not going to go too deep into him because we all, you know, he's a big problematic person. But I'm also bringing it up because there's rumors. Shotty P, his manager, says that he's apparently down to his last $1,200, and it's just, yo, all right, you get all this dirty mob money from ratting out, like you're gonna blow it away like Vanilla Ice, like that's just embarrassing on a variety of levels and pathetic and well, problematic. But anyway, 6ix9ine, very much a gentrifier of hip hop, came in the culture. I always thought that his sound, like I didn't listen to him. Hearing him rap, I'm like, yo, this guy is like a watered down, cheap version of DMX and Onyx. Like the way he's screaming.
Word.
I'm like, yo, this is like some like knockoff MOP. This is great. This is not great. This is crap. So I'm just saying, there's also, I'm not going to go on to it, but there's a couple people who have gentrified hip hop. I don't even know their names, but did you see a picture of those 2 white kids from Florida that are out now? who stole Kodak?
I don't know what's going on, man. Like, how do we even?
Did you see that?
Yo, I saw it, man, and it just hurts my head. Like, I don't get it.
I didn't even research them enough to learn that because I'm like, I'm not going to honor your name by articulating it with my mouth. I'm just like the idea of literally gentrifying culture and taking. People take names. It's so weird. And the last little thing I do want to ask you about, I don't know, this is a weird cultural gentrification, but this was a thing, and I know a couple people might have some words on it, but there is a concept that has come in the last 10 years, 5 years or so of hip hop, and it's real enough to be like, yo, like, okay, yeah, this is a problem in the culture. So it's like literally like an MC who is their operation, their mode of existence is to gentrify as much of the culture as they can, and the concept was phrased as an industry plant. Have you heard that term?
No, I have not, man. Talk to me, man.
Industry. Okay. So I don't know if there's people who are watching or if they know things about industry plants. Some people are like, some of these people that come into the hip hop culture, they're like, they're not rappers. They're not like just artists trying to like get on and get signed and like become part of history. They're like, it's like an artist that was fabricated by some company to come in, make a little catchy jingle, get somebody's attention, and then like
okay. So this reminds me. So in the presentation yesterday, there was a brother named Cuddy, and he is like a gentrification like analyst. He was able to break stuff down. I hope they post that video recording of it. But what he was talking about was there's like the organic type of gentrification that just naturally happens. But then he spoke about organized gentrification, and that's exactly what you're talking about.
Exactly.
Like, it's all planned like strategically, like. And what he was saying is like with gentrification, like okay, right now with like Little Jamaica, things are happening and we can see it. But what he's saying is like, no, like we're a lot late in the game, And he was making a reference to like like Brooklyn and whatnot, and like the Barclays Center and all this stuff that's being built. But like that starts like a good like 15 years early. Like, it almost starts very subtly. You don't even notice that it's happening. And then by the time you do, it's too late. Things are already in place. You're not even at like the meetings, like, the planning committee meetings and all that. That happened like 3 years ago. Like, where were you? And that's, when we're talking about this from an industry standpoint, I can see how they plant their seeds and really, strategically do that. Like these individuals are a company as opposed to like this individual who's coming from the community.
That's it. And it's like, whether they're there to, I don't know, to like water down somebody, like to just fuck up the market, or like to be the opposition to Rock Nation, or I don't know what the fucking, whatever their agenda is. Like there have been, I haven't researched it too much to be like a super flag waving, like, yo, hip hop has been destroyed by a bunch of industry plants. I'm like, yo, to me, it's just like the loss of morals and values, and like everybody's stealing another sound. That's why hip hop is dead to me in a certain way, in the Nas way. But it's like, yeah, our culture's still going, the industry's still going, but culturally there's issues. So like this, and I'm like, okay, well, I'm saying this to say one of the examples of an industry plant that has been discussed was Chance the Rapper.
Okay.
And yeah, I'd seen a couple people talk about it, and they were like, Chance the Rapper isn't like a dude that just like wanted to just rap and then started rapping. They're like, Chance the Rapper, I've seen some breakdowns of it, and I've seen some correlations of it, and I'm like, whoa, that's some powerful accusations and shit.
Okay.
Chance the Rapper is apparently the son of a major Chicago political figure, and like, this is actually verifiable, and I'm pretty sure this. So Chance the Rapper is the son of a politician in America, and they were saying that during the Obama era, there were people that were like, Chance the Rapper is also very Christian, very. And they were saying that in the time of Obama, there was like reasons and machinations and schemes and plans to like have the Chance the Rapper's rise happen, where he did what he did, come up off Kanye and connect to Obama, and like there's a bunch of things that are connected and whatever, and like, he helped his father's political aspirations to have his son skyrocketing in hip hop at the time. So like I could have gone more into the theory, but I read that at some point. Like, yo, man, like, well, maybe. Possibly.
That is very possible, right? Because like hip hop is, we're in like a very like manufactured like era, like the industry is, like you can create like superstars, like, you know what I mean? Like there's so much like that can go into like the machine, really, so that it does make sense. Like it is very, very possible and very strategic. And I can totally see that, the way like the intersections and the time period too, when he came up of like what was happening. Like, you know, it's the perfect storm, you know?
Yeah, there really was. And I mean, I'm not saying this to slander the man and just be like, oh, he's the worst thing to happen to the culture. He shouldn't live. He shouldn't make music. I'm not going that far at all. Whatever. Like, fucking, this culture is so complex. Some of the hip hop enemies have actually turned out to do some interesting things for the culture, whether it's fucking Puff Daddy or it's Suge Knight. Like, yo, those guys are super villains of hip hop. But they've also done. Suge Knight got Tupac out of jail. Period. It was the worst thing for the culture, but nobody else got Tupac out of jail. So like, it's not as simple as just good guy or bad guy. So yeah, like I was like, yo, maybe Chance was kind of like a bit of a fabricated phenomenon to a degree. And you know, like some of the, especially when some of these people don't last that long, they're like, all right, you have a couple year run and then you're off doing some other stuff. It's like, wow, maybe there was a plan behind that. But you know, I'm just gonna end off by saying he's a family man now. He got married, whatever. So peace to that. And yo, just gentrification comes on so many levels, like sound, clothing, musical styles, rapping styles, areas, cities, projects, and it's just like. Yeah, I'm glad you broke it down, the difference between like natural street.
And a lot of it is very like, you know, like strategic and organized, you know, and then, you know, where you have like developers and people coming together like in the back room, be like, okay, guys, here's the game plan. So you're going to go there. And then I'm going to come in a couple months later and say this. And then when I say this, then you're going to say that. Okay. All right. Break. Like,
Great.
Crazy, man.
Great.
It's really, you know, and I'm learning the game, you know, and it's wild, and how the city of Toronto is like treating Little Jamaica is actually like disgusting. You know, they're supposed to be part of like, you know, affordable housing plans within Little Jamaica, and somehow Little Jamaica got excluded from that. It's like almost as if like they just want to really push people out. It doesn't even make any sense, you know, like look at what's happening, you know. So there's actually a meeting happening on Thursday where the city councilor is going to be going. The city councilor from the area is going to be going to like the planning committee and really advocating on the behalf to really see what could be done though. But I already feel like that motion's already passed, and they're just kind of like, you know, like entertaining it. They're like, okay, we know they're upset. We'll listen to them, and then do the classic list. We hear you. We have your recommendations, and they're in review. That's all they say.
We will get back to you when a decision has been made or something. And then be like, wow, it's been like 2 years. We're still waiting for that decision. Like,
and then meanwhile, like condos
shit.
Yeah,
exactly. Yeah. It feels like they're just grinding out. I'm like, yo, after 10 years, the damn 15 years, the damn subway is finally going to be done, and there's going to be like 70% of the black businesses couldn't fucking deal with a 15-year slash, and you're like, yo, this is brutal. And then it's like financially, like, oh well, the city actually didn't really fund a bunch of those businesses, but they were gonna like benefit from the subway coming in and all the new condos that pop up around this brand new subway and all the new businesses that come into this brand new neighborhood. Be like, and it's they don't even want to fucking call it Reggae Lane. Be like, Jesus Christ, these people are. It's such a horrible thing. But shout out to Cadence Weapon. I saw him doing a little something on Eglinton West and talking about the gentrification.
No doubt, man. No doubt.
And yeah, man, it's been, I ain't got nothing left. I just gotta.
This is what we do on a Reminisce Show, man. We bring that education. Oh, you got one more? You got one more for us? All right, bring it. We're coming up to an hour, man. Let's go. What's up?
Fuck it. So I mean, I'm gonna go into the story again, but as I was saying, I am moving. So as I moved, I found this. I found so many pieces of gold, y'all. Y'all gonna be seeing some mad gold on the
Reminisce. What you
so
got? Those tickets?
So yeah, they're tickets. I'm not even gonna tell this story. I'm just gonna show it what it is and just show you that this little piece of paper is one of the most valuable pieces of paper I own. What it is, you can barely read it.
It's like Braille or something. I can't really see what.
You can't see it that well, but at the top it says Public Enemy.
Oh,
what date is it? Tuesday, September 25th, 1990.
Jeez.
This is the ticket. This is the end ticket stub from the Fear of a Black Planet tour, my very first concert in my life.
Wow, and you have that in like mint condition.
I don't. Yeah, I have the ticket stub. It's fading off. So I'm not even going to talk about this story because this is the beginning of my entire first rap stub ever. But what I am going to show is two other stubs that I have. So this one, this is one of the
De La Soul.
Yeah, this is one of the greatest concerts that ever happened, and anybody who was there knows it's legendary. De La Soul opening for A Tribe Called Quest in 1993.
Wow. You
know who they added to this concert? It's not even written on the ticket. Souls of Mischief.
Come on.
So I have this. This is what it has happened in Ottawa. I'm talking in 1993. I cannot even articulate how like the songs 93 Till Infinity just dropped. The video just dropped. Balloon Mind State. Midnight Marauders songs were just playing, and it's like Souls of Mischief, De La Soul, and Tribe Called Quest all in the same spot. Not only that, but I got a free limo ride to the concert and backstage tickets. I cannot tell you how much this is one of the greatest days of my life. Like, there's parts of this story that I've never told. I still have the ticket stub. And then this last one is another classic Ottawa concert. This is, I don't know how to show it. This is Naughty by Nature.
Jeez, which one?
Naughty by Nature at Revs Dance Club, for people who remember Revs. And it was Thursday, January 16th, 1992. I remember the fucking freezing ass cold getting to this concert.
Waiting in the lineups.
92, Naughty by Nature, 92. Crazy lineup. Their first time ever.
Wow.
I know there's only showing Naughty by Nature on here. I know there was 3 people on the bill. Black Sheep also came, and
come on.
House of Pain was supposed to come, and I'm pretty sure they did not.
Wow.
It was Naughty by Nature and Black Sheep's first time in Canada.
You can go with this, or you can go with that.
This is. I'm gonna be pulling out Reminisce Gold like this for a while.
All right. Well, hey man, I'm looking forward to that, man. That's what we're going to bring, man. So that's what it is, man. Reminisce Show, man. Every Tuesday, man, bringing in that Sankofa tradition, because sometimes we got to go back to collect what we may have forgotten. You know, you can make sure you catch us out on Twitter as well, man. We started this new Twitter space, man, with the homie Symbolic, man, called Sankofa SFA, man. So we're making all these different connections, and we're really focusing on Black innovation, Black tech, you know, NFTs, the blockchain, like all of this stuff that's happening, you know, like looking at different ways to push us forward. Mindbender, if you want to jump us on Twitter, man, feel free to do so. That's Thursdays at 3:30 p.m. and that's on All Day SFA, man. So that's what's going on. And then Mondays we got You Good Fam on Instagram, man. So more podcasts, more talking, more connection, more community, man. We just getting started, man. We're just getting started, yo.
So dope. That's so dope, man. Mad shout out to all the people following us. Donna, Brain Food, Righteous. Yo, Righteous, you're right. Yo, Just Dice is also one of the reggae MCs. And Kwame, the brother from Time. Kwame, yo, man. Yo, Kwame was also, if you're at that Naughty by Nature and Black Sheep show as well.
That's peace, man.
I'm pretty sure they did a 3-city tour where they did Toronto, Ottawa, and Montreal. And I'm pretty sure Organized Rhyme opened up for them in Ottawa. I know in Ottawa and Toronto.
That's cool, yeah.
And there was a Rap City segment where Tom Green came to Flemo. He came to one of the hoods in Toronto. And everyone was like, yo, they were like geeking on him for a bit. And then they were like, yo, you rap. Okay, well, you're cool. So if you're a rapper, that's all right. So, but if anybody remembers that Rap City footage, I'm 99% sure that's what it was. And those were the classic days. And it was a Toronto show, but like, I know they did a 3-city tour. They did Toronto, Ottawa, Montreal.
Dope. Well, I'm going to play some Black Sheep right now, man, because that album was incredible to me. There's so many gems on that, man. But, I'm going to reminisce, man. So big up to everyone that came through. I know Rachel was asking if it was at Spectrum.
Yeah, I wasn't at the Toronto show. I was in Ottawa at the time,
Okay.
so Kwame would know if it was at Spectrum. But like, yeah,
All right.
y'all the heads. Of course,
Yeah.
Reg was there. Reg just got that laser sharp memory. I love it. And
All right, Joe.
you know, mad love to all us reminiscing. Reminisce on some Black Sheep.
There we go, man. And we out, man. Join us next week, Tuesday, man, 7 p.m. all day, man. All day SFA. Make sure you follow us on our socials. And yeah, man, we out, man. Till next time, man.
Love
Peace
y'all.
out.
Peace, fam. Peace.